Hey YouTubers, Star Wars fans and Silver Screen fans, Nathan Alex Xavier here. It is another rainy day, probably the worst possible day to do a YouTube review on, especially if you can hear it, which you probably can where I'm doing this video. But anyway, such is life. This is the video that I talked about in a previous video where I'm going to be giving a bit of information about the specific lightsaber in front of you, well, not even the .45, just the lightsaber itself, the Revenge of the Sith Darth Vader lightsaber that unfortunately was never seen on screen and was destined to only be seen in basic this production photos, publicity photos, etc. And yeah, this is some information about the lightsaber itself and why it is actually my second favourite Darth Vader lightsaber. So a lot of people probably won't know this. I don't know if you who's watching actually know this about this lightsaber, but the main inspiration for it was from a stunt lightsaber that was used in the original trilogy. As most of you know, that in the prop making industry for films, many different props were actually used, different swords, shields, etc. for stunts. You know, you've got hero props, stunt props, etc. that are made from different materials depending on the needs of the scene. But for The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and possibly the original Star Wars film, I'm not sure on that, there was a stunt saber that was created for it. And it was actually known, obviously not back then, but only in recent times. It was known as the Barbican lightsaber. This was just a big clunky lightsaber that looked absolutely nothing like the actual on-screen hero prop, as they call it in the industry. And it was actually that specific design of a lightsaber that served almost as like the blueprint, so to speak, for which they would base the design of the Revenge of the Sith lightsaber on. So that was the main sort of like inspiration for this lightsaber right here. So I know that many Star Wars fans, people in the community, or the lightsaber fans, or just Star Wars fans as a whole, absolutely hate and despise this lightsaber because of its design. A lot of people don't really understand the reason for many of the aesthetics on it, such as the shape of the box. I know most fans have a major problem with the box on it, and also the pommel as well. A lot of fans have a problem with the pommel. So it's usually between the pommel, the box, and that's really about it. It's usually just those two things there. Really, they find it makes the lightsaber look a bit clunky, cumbersome, bit too boxy, not really streamlined enough, so to speak. Probably not the right word, but you get what I'm trying to say. And for the longest time, I was actually the same. I felt the same way. But it was only when I started to do some real research into the lightsaber itself, where it came from, what the ideas were behind its design for the film, for its intended use. But I started to really appreciate the lightsaber as a whole, and it ended up becoming my second favourite Darth Vader lightsaber design. But if you didn't already know this, if you weren't already privy to this information about it being based on the Barbican lightsaber, please do look online. Just with a simple Google search, you can see the striking resemblance between this lightsaber and the Barbican lightsaber. Just a little bit of information about Barbican, what that actually means, is that it's basically an art exhibition. You know, there's theatre shows there. It's the largest one in Europe. There's theatre shows, there's everything, art exhibitions, and and everything. And there was actually a Star Wars one held there, and the prop that was actually showcased there at the Barbican was not a hero prop. It was not a hero Darth Vader prop. It was the stunt prop. It was the well, what's obviously known as now as the Barbican lightsaber. It was the prop one. No one had ever seen it before. People were expecting to see the respective hero prop of Darth Vader, but what was actually on showcase was the Barbican lightsaber, the stunt prop. And so therefore the stunt prop was known as the Barbican lightsaber. And, fast forward X amount of years, we have Revenge of the Sith, and then we have a Darth Vader lightsaber that was actually crafted and inspired purely by that lightsaber. And I don't know about you, but I just think that's really, really impressive that we'd already seen at least 2-3 different versions of the Darth Vader lightsaber. And as with the trend of the prequel films, each of the respective lightsabers, the Skywalker lightsaber, the Kenobi lightsaber, they were all given their own prequel treatment. They were all machine props rather than props that were made from found and forged materials and basically stuck and thrown together. They were all given the machine treatment, and for that film they decided to create a machined Darth Vader lightsaber, but obviously for whatever reason they didn't want to go with designs that had already been used in the past, that had been used in the original trilogy. So they decided to create a machine prop just for that film, specifically just for the era of Star Wars. And I actually really like that someone in the prop department, or even George Lucas himself, decided to use basically as the baseline to base the Darth Vader lightsaber prop on. They based it on a stunt prop that was used in the original trilogy. They used that stunt prop design and gave it the prequel treatment, and then here you have it. We have a completely different, or almost completely different Darth Vader design. A design that wasn't just plucked out of thin air. It actually came from somewhere. There was a reason why this specific lightsaber looks like this, even though it is doomed to never actually be seen on film. But there actually is a reason as to why it looks like this. And for me personally, as a lightsaber fan, it just gave me a much greater appreciation of the design of the lightsaber itself. But anyway, I just wanted to spend a few minutes, well, coming up to 8 minutes now, just talking a little bit about this specific lightsaber, not the actual piece of merchandise that I have. I've already done a review on that, but just the lightsaber itself and information as to where it came from and what where the design inspiration came from. So please do look it up. It's called the Barbican lightsaber. If you punch that into Google or wherever else, you will actually see a few side-by-side comparisons of this specific lightsaber and the original stunt prop, and you can see that the pair of them are basically identical. And then after that, it's up to you whether or not that gives you a greater appreciation for this specific design of the Darth Vader lightsaber, or whether your opinion remains the same. But thanks for tuning in anyway, and I will see you all again very soon.